Hey everybody, this is Troy Alexander, Inspiration with Troy Alexander. I'm excited to be back one more time. You know what my motto is: dream, take that step, and walk with purpose into your destiny. Every week, we come on to inspire you and to encourage you to hold on to your dream. I'm excited. We have an amazing guest tonight that we're going to introduce in just one moment. But listen, stay connected with us. We're on Facebook, Troy Alexander. We're on Instagram. I love taking photos at Pick by Design. And listen, follow our nonprofit, called to inspire.org, called to inspire.org. And we're on YouTube. Yes, we are, Inspiration with Troy Alexander. But listen, want to again encourage you. If you don't have this book, get this book of poetry called Poems Inspiring Dreams, Purpose, and Destiny by Marcellus Troy Alexander on Amazon. Yes, I said it. Listen, it's pinned to our Facebook page, and we encourage you. Every passage is to uplift you and to encourage you to hold on to your dream. Well, tonight we have an amazing young man. I'm excited tonight. Listen, he's a father and a mentor to sons Noah and Matthew, business owners and CEOs of Young Informed Media LLC. Listen, I interviewed them ages 10 and 11. Come on, y'all. They're older now, but I'm telling you right now, he's a class parent for his kids' classes, onto school leadership, team leader impacting curriculum, funding, and school safety as a board member for over 4 years. Established Black Heroes experience at the School for Black History Month. The sharing of the Black experience of Rosa Parks inspired his sons Noah and Matthew to become a licensed New York City Department of Education vendor. Let's welcome Mr. TAKBIR Blake. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, everybody! Listen, I'm so honored to have you. Listen, I had a chance to meet you before interviewing your sons on a prior broadcast, and you were such an inspiration. You were telling me how you mentor your young sons and inspired them. You were telling me about how you would teach them in the car. If you could just go back a little bit and share a little bit how that came about and just, I mean, it was powerful. Just share a little bit about that story.
Yeah, when they were first going to, they got of age of going to kindergarten and elementary school, and I would drop them off. And, as a parent and your kids going off into the world for the first time, I had a little nerves inside of me. And so I would say to myself, how could I ease these nerves and then at the same empower my sons? And I would, in the car, just fill them with positive affirmations and have them do certain chants. And one of the chants we would do is Blake boys, and then they would scream strong boys, and Blake boys, strong boys. And I'm like, Team Blake, and they go love. And I said, okay, now now go about your day and remember that. And so that was a way of me. It was therapeutic for me, and as well as therapeutic for them, to give them that pride and give them that energy and to power their day and be excited about going to school, because they never had the experience of the teachers were always coming to me, oh, they're not crying and they're not having separation anxiety, Right. And so doing that every day empowered them to navigate, through the school and, in the early stages. And so that was the way that we did that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Like was that what experience in your life said to you know what, this is what I need to do?
The experience of my life is a testament to my own father. My father was a powerful figure in my life, and he always, when I was a young man, one of the things looking up to whenever I had doubt or I had any type of nervous energy or issues, I always looked to my father. He was cool as a cucumber, no matter what it was. He was a calming force, and I would look up to him and say, he's not excited, nervous, or nervous wreck or how I'm feeling, and it would calm me down. So I wanted to be, continue that on and always be a presence and a force for them, to show them that they have support, they have a backing, and they're not walking this walk alone. They have a father here that's there to protect them and guide them. Yeah.
Powerful. Well, listen, sir, you are doing an amazing job. When I'm telling you, interviewing Noah and Matthew was like talking to like people who have been matured, so much. And I'm like, man, who was the person who did? And when I was talking, I was like, listen, I got to bring you on the broadcast, because what you're doing is such a powerful example to so many, right? And you were telling me before the show that when I think your first son, I believe, was born, Oh, your
Mhm.
second one, but did you quit your job?
Yeah, quit my job. Quit my job. It was deep. When I was at that time, I had a very prominent job working for workforce development. I rose to a very high position, and I was doing it for over 12 years, and was just, I got to a place where I had all the different departments I was running. They were cross trained. Everything was running smooth, and I was in a comfort zone. And then my son was on the way, and I know my wife, she works for medical, in the healthcare industry, and that the job was very demanding. So we had a decision to make, and I said, you know what, I got no problem walking away and being there for them for the first phases of their life, and being that anchor for them. And so I just went to the job, said, listen, my son is on the way, and this is I got to get my 2 weeks, and I'm getting ready to do this dad thing. Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, I've got to applaud you because I'm like, it's phenomenal because you said, you know what, I'm going to invest in my children.
Right.
I'm going to invest. Listen, everybody, I'm talking to a gentleman whose two sons have a media company. They're the CEOs, and they're like 10 and I think they're 11 and 12 now, but I think they were
Yes.
started. I mean, I was like, wow, and I'm saying, like, how did these young men even know that they could even do that? What did you ever do anything of that nature as a young person growing up?
No. I when they started going to school, I would just put into them that confidence, that self-confidence, and we would have talks. And it was very important for me to have open communication with them at a young age, and I would speak to them, and what it was? It was a lot of the fears that I had. I said, let me protect them from it. And the way I'm going to protect them from it is by empowering them in a lot of different areas. And I said, listen, you're going into an area where, you're going to be the minority in the school district. There's not a lot of other kids that look like you. And there's a lot of things that's going on in America at this time. But at the same time, we would have direct talk where I say, I would look at Noam after and say, if somebody says something bad to you, I would teach them, what do you say? And they'll say, oh, well, you taught us that if they say something bad to me, it's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. And I really shouldn't let that penetrate because I have a family that loves me. And I would just put that into their mind. And I would drop them off and say, what did I say about that? And they'll repeat it. I said, all right, go on with your day. All right, what did I say about that? Just the constant reaffirming of that and consistency. I saw when they started, as they got older, they started to absorb it and walk with a certain confidence. And I would see them as I started volunteering into the school later on. I started seeing certain situations that I would sit back and see how they would handle, and they would just be cool. Like they wouldn't get all angry and blow. They would just talk it out and be like, hey, this is no problem. This is not something that's our fault. And you know what? At the same time, I hope you have a better day because you're going through a bad situation and you're crying. You're crying out for help. That's why you're acting like this.
Wow.
A lot of that
Wow.
psychology. Yeah.
No, listen. You need to write a book. I'm telling you, you have so much insight to share. It's amazing. And so, what you said was powerful. You said about your fears, right?
Right.
And you wanted to empower your sons with all the things that possibly that you were afraid of, but that you experienced, and kind of wanted to give them that
Right.
confidence and strength in them and
Right.
knowing who they were. I gotta ask you, it's like what do you think was the biggest challenge for you in terms of trying to instill in your children? Because again, you said earlier, like, folks gonna say things to you, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do stuff to you. What was your biggest, or what has been your biggest challenge to date to get your young sons to get what you're trying to say? Is it outside influences? Is it stuff within their own? What has been the biggest challenge thus far?
The,
Yeah.
the biggest challenge I say along that journey, especially the elementary school, because now they're in junior high school, but that elementary school, is a very important piece. Was fighting the everyday system of the view of young black boys, and knowing your children have a good heart and they're going into a school and they're going to love their teachers. They're good-hearted. They're going to, you know, develop relationships. And so you have to navigate where you're not trying to destroy that relationship, but you're trying to also at the same time point them in the right direction that, hey, you know, this is right, this is not right, this is, you know, and you got to just lead by example and so that's when I, you know, decided, hey, I'm going to make my presence known in the school and become a visible, very visible father there, so that they can see the pathway, you know. And so that was a great challenge, trying to navigate between their young, because when they're young and just innocent and impressionable, and you leave, you got to remember your children are at school more than at home, you know. Wow. And you know during that year, and so they start developing these relationships, and the things that they're taught and the things that they're being told, not every person is going to be coming from a good place. And so, but it might come with a smile. And so the kids might see the smile and say, hey, that's what it is. And they say, oh, no. And I remember one time my son came home and I said, you know what? Where do black people come from? And he said, slavery. And I said, so you think black people come from slavery? You know, up to this point. He said, yeah, they come from slavery. That's what my teachers are telling, you know, this was going on. And I said, okay, well, we're going to have to start informing. We're going to have to start, you know what, we're going to do some things in the home, and we're going to open up, you know, widen our perspective here. And I'm going to show you a different lens. And that, you know, so that was the challenge, you know.
Wow. That's powerful. I mean, that's really wanting to expand even their horizons on what they know and
right.
You know what they can see. That's and not only that, everybody, this amazing gentleman, like you went to the school and said, I'm going to volunteer my time. But not only that, I'm a volunteer by helping to teach art and science labs 4 days a week, from like 9 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon.
I would walk into the school with my kids and walk out with them. You know? Yeah.
Wow.
And so I did that because I realized, you know, when I first started volunteering, I did the typical, I'm volunteering for my kids' class. And and another thing, one of the things I said, how can I protect my children in this school system? And I said, you know, by helping other children. Because if I help make the community here at the school better, they're gonna know my name. They're gonna have a relationship with me. They're gonna have a relationship with my kids. And everybody's gonna benefit. And so I just said, I'm not. You know, I told the teachers, I said, I'm not gonna just do my kids' class. I'm doing all the classes. And so I just started grinding out, and I would sit there and help out all day long. You know, fit it into my schedule while at the time going for, you know, the master's degree and things of that nature. And you know, it just fueled me, because I saw the direct, you know, benefit. It was other kids coming up to me and speaking to me and opening up to me from all different backgrounds, just with a pure heart and an understanding, and it impacted their view of our community.
Wow. So you wasn't only concerned about your sons,
right?
You were concerned about all the kids and the community and the neighborhood. Listen, I mean, when you said that, where you walked in with your kids and you walked out with your kid, that is a powerful statement, and the ability to do it, because some parents do it, some parents don't. But you made the choice, right, to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to invest in my children's livelihood and their future. I gotta. What do you say to the parent that wants to do that, but may not have the time to do it as you did? But what would you say to them to encourage them in terms of being able to invest in the lives of their children?
I would say there's always ways, and I've had conversations. If parents have come up to me, and you know, at a certain point, I became that parent. They was like, "You're here all the time," and they confided in me, and you know, and I've told them, I said, there's many ways to network and to make your presence be felt. You know, I said, don't underestimate the power of email. Don't underestimate the power of questioning, not just being agreeable because you don't want to rattle the teacher. Question certain things, or you know, bring up certain things, or you know, reach out to the principal. I said when I didn't have time, I would do things like in the summertime before they got to junior high school, like even recently. What I did is I didn't know the new principal. I didn't know who they were. I'm going into a new school. So I sent an email ahead of me over the summer and introduced myself, said, hi, I'm a very active father. I'm very, in the trenches in terms of education, and I'm, and I'm willing to help any way I can, given my schedule. So I would just tell them, do what you can, because, there are parents that, I was blessed to be able to fit it into the schedule. It wasn't always easy. It wasn't like an easy thing because I was burning the midnight oil and then getting right back up to, maybe 2 hours sleep and then going volunteering all day. The parents would say, why don't you go sleep now while they're in school?
Right.
Mission doesn't stop. I'm still on mission. I got more work to do. So it would just go all throughout the day, But
go ahead.
Yeah, but I would tell them, that's what I would tell parents is just don't think you can, just because you can't do it exactly how I'm doing it, doesn't mean there's not a way and there's a avenue to get known, to let the teachers know that you are active parent who's involved and cares. Use that email, use that phone, be that parent that emails me all the time. Oh yeah, that parent emails me all the time. Yeah. I know such and such, that's such and such's father and mother. Right. Be that parent,
Awesome. Where did this drive come from? I mean, was it a moment? Was it an experience? Was it something your father or your mother said? What? Because parents want the best for their children, but not all of them had that drive that you're describing to me. A level of a passion that I'm like, wow, like it's off the charts. Right?
Yeah.
So where did that emanate from, do you think?
It came from my spirituality. It came from when I say spirituality, I mean it came from knowing who I was before I was a father. Wow. And knowing who I turned out to be after a father, and knowing that the moment they put my son in my hand when Noah was born, I always tell people this. I felt like there was, and I'm not kidding. I felt like there was a manual downloaded into me by God the moment I held him. Because before Noah was born, I was a nervous wreck. I was I was up to the months. I was doubting. I was, oh my God, I'm going to be a father for the first time. Me. I just didn't. I was like, I can't understand this. This is not understand. Wow. Like I was nervous, and I'm the calm energy and the warm breeze that descended upon my body when they put my boy in my hands. It was just a power that I never felt before in my life. And at that moment, what came with that was assurance and confidence in fatherhood. And my family looked at me like I was weird because I went from being the most like nervous and doubting. I don't know, don't ask me. I'm not, to the most assertive and no, this is what we're gonna do. No, this is what we're gonna do. Right off the gate. Oh no, we're gonna do this. Oh no, we gotta do it like this. Or this is what we're gonna do. Oh, we're gonna handle it like this. And they're like, this guy just took off and it won't stop. I'm like,
right. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. And so
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so it came from, and then also with when I was young, I was always scared of children. I was a young guy, teenager, and I had little young nieces, and they're like, hold them. And I'm like, no, I'm not holding them. I was that young teenager, like, no. And right. I remember one time going down south, my grandmother, she was a very powerful leading evangelist in the South, in Louisiana and Texas. And she looked, she used to touch people with the Spirit. Her whole life was, driven for that. And one day she looked at my mother and she pointed at me when I was young and she said, Papa Talk. So my mother said, why are you calling him Papa Talk? And she's like, that's Papa Talk right there. That's Papa Talk. And so fast forward, after I became a father, my mother sat with me one day. She said, you remember back in the day, she said, I watched you grow as a father and seeing these things that you're doing with your children. And she said, and I get what my grandmother was trying to say. She was saying your purpose in your life was going to be fatherhood. And she was pointing it out and saying, you're going to be Papa Top. And it's funny because my father is called Papa Nuku.
Wow.
And so when my children have children, they already said they're going to call me Papa Top, is my grandfather's name. And that was something said when I was like 13 years old.
Oh, Wow.
You
Well,
know?
well, Mr. Papa Top, I just want to say thank you. I'm just telling you, it's like you had a calling on your life. Like
Right.
you had this mission, this purpose, this calling, and it was something you said that when the child, your son was put in your arm, like something just came onto you, like something just
Powerful.
came. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness,
It was a
that's a
power.
no. Listen, I'm telling you, I see not only a book, I see a movie. So
Yeah, it's
listen,
powerful.
man, amazing, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? What do you want or you hope that your sons see in you? You know, because I'm always inspired by how children see their parents. And what do you want them to see in you that they can even glean even further by not only what you do and say, but just by looking what do you want them to see in you?
I want them to see when they look at me, I want them to see strength. I want them to see, hard work, determination, fearlessness in the face of fear. And just love, like, just nurturing. I don't want I hug my sons, I kiss my sons, I'll cuddle with my sons. I want them to see that it's okay to nurture and to be nurturing at the same time, have a discipline and understand that, that there's expectations and that, that you can rise to the occasion, in the face of, overall, I want them to see that trials and tribulations is going to come, but that their father has a mentality that it's easier for me because I don't give myself a choice for that failure. That's not an option for me. Like, because I wired myself based upon a lot of things I went through when I was younger. I've learned from it and wired myself to say, yeah, you're gonna fail, but even in failure, that's not failure. There is no option for failure. If you have that faith, you believe, that's just another step towards where you need to go. And don't take that situation as it's your failure. It's a blessing in disguise, and just keep powering forward. Because when you become a father, when they become fathers, I want them to understand that as a father, you want to see your kids grow strong and win, and that love that you have deep inside of you, you're not going to give yourself a choice for anything else. Like, I don't accept anything else. I don't claim anything else. That's what I see, and that's where we're going. And that's it. Yeah.
If I had a mic I could drop, I would drop it, but I don't have one right now. So listen, there's no option to fail.
Right. No option.
Listen, that's a t-shirt moment. There's no option to fail.
No option.
I mean that I'm like, I've never heard anybody say it that way. There's no option to fail. So I mean, that's amazing and such powerful. So Mr. Blake, listen, I'm telling you, everybody, you see why he's amazing. Why I had him on the show. Listen, we've got to have to bring him back at some point, but just powerful and awesome and amazing. And you're such uplifting. Listen, I know all of us go through our moments in life, right? Because life happens.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stay so positive for your sons? How do you stay, or even in the moments where they may be going through a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. But before I get there, sir, I want to ask you, because you said earlier that you would sit back and kind of watch your sons and how they would answer or how they would respond to things. I want to ask you, knowing what you know and how protective parents can be, mm-hmm. have there been moments where you've allowed them to make choices or to make decisions that maybe you didn't feel was the total best, but you said, you know what, I need them to learn and go through it and experience consequences? Like, have you ever had that kind of talk to yourself about allowing your kids as a, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and those are hard conversations, because your natural instinct is to swoop in,
right?
And then you gotta, when you're so involved with your children, those moments. It's kind of like it just guides you. Like, I know which moments to swoop in and which moments to stay out of, and because it's a it's the greater cause and the greater learning experience and powerful moment, is there, and it presents itself, and it's hard, it's not easy. There's been times where my family, I used to call my parents and having, like I said, and to my family, with my mother and my father, still here. great ground, strength and support. There's times where I've called them, rock, like sitting there rocking in the car, like, oh, and they're like, all right, calm down. And I'm like, oh, I gotta stay calm and just navigate what's going on and let them figure it out. And then we can talk about it, after and work through it, And to what you said about there's also times where, I got to give them that space, especially now, because they're going to junior high, they're junior high school age. So the part of the growing process is for them to assert themselves. So you got to give them wins. You got to give them W's.
Wow.
You can't shut down every original idea, even if you don't agree. Because the overall thing is the fact that they had an idea and they got to run with it is the greater victory than you trying to point them in the right direction. Let them get that confidence that, hey, I chose to go that way. Yeah, I learned from it. It may not have been the best way, but I chose,
Listen, everybody, this is Mr. TAKBIR Blake. Listen, I'm telling you, such motivation, inspiring. You need to, I don't know if you got your own little Instagram going on there, TikTok, whatever, but you need to be out there more because people need to hear you and hear your story and your journey. And I'm telling you, it is so amazing. I got to ask you, sir, what was that moment like when your sons, Matthew, came to you and said, you know what, we want to start a media business or our own company? I mean, what was that, if you can remember, what was that conversation like before Young Informed Media LLC came about? Like, what was that conversation like?
The conversation it started off with me taking a deep breath and saying, okay, here comes the work. And I said to them, well, if you want to, if that's what you want to do, then and you're truly serious about carrying this on, because like they said in your interview, it started when they interviewed their own grandmother and presented it to the school. The feedback that they saw, the entire school wrote letters, and kids were inspired and just on a powerful on a peer level with their friends coming up to them like, wow, it's amazing. They were just on that high. And I said, when this high calms down, if you really want to do this, even though the highs calm down, then I said, it's something that we're gonna have to learn together. And I want you guys to really learn like how to get the LLC, research this. You're gonna be in the trenches of everything, because this is something that, it's powerful and it can carry over into your adulthood and for your life. So you're gonna need to know everything about it. And so it can't be daddy just doing it and handing it off to you. It has to be you researching the questions and learning how. I can teach you how to research, and then from there you apply it and start utilizing. Okay, you have an interview coming onto your show. Go through the steps, do the proper research, develop these unique questions. One of the things I've been very, very strong about them from a young age is critical thinking. Critical thinking is very important, and that goes to the last question. Critical thinking. You will never be able to judge your children's critical thinking if you don't step back and let them think. So sometimes I'll let them say, I'll fall back and say, go ahead, let you work through the processes. And what did you learn from it? And they'll apply that to their critical thinking next time. So those it was that was the gist of the conversation. A lot of the, this is going to be inclusive type of thing. And, and if you want it, you go for it. And I'm here to support you.
Well, listen, I'm trying to figure out how did, and you touched upon it a little bit, but like you said, how did you know this is what they really wanted to do? Because a lot of kids say, "Hey, mom, I want to do this," and your kids, sir, your sons, I mean, from music to I think they're going into acting now, but they doing broadcasts about dinosaurs and about this and about that. I'm like, man, so how do you know that they're really invested? Because a lot of kids tell the parents, I want to do this, and it costs time and money, but they don't follow through with it. How did you know? What told you? And then you begin to talk about a little bit like when the hype kind of comes down a little bit,
right?
But tell me more about that experience for you. It's like, listen.
What it clicked for me.
This told me that what they're really real. Yeah.
It clicked for me when it's just it's the little things like Saturday morning comes, and we'll do that on a Saturday. And Saturday mornings comes, and they're up before you, shaking you. Get up, we want to go do this. Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? And I'm like, wow, you guys are really excited about this. And the consistency of it just started to become normal. Yes. Like this is what they would seek it first before me, and then they would, and then when it started becoming, hey guys, if you don't do your chores, we're not doing the broadcast, like taking it away like a video game, and they snap to it. Start washing dishes, and I'm like, oh, this is real. Like the kids will let you know. The children will let you know in the everyday life, and see how excited, and they get dressed up and just they'll come to me and just speak to me with excitement. Hey, guess what I did today? And I found this new question, and I'm gonna add it to this, and I'm gonna go do this and do that. And so once I saw it clicked in them and they had that ownership of it, that's when I said, okay, now I have to really support them and put investment into the space where they're going to do it, make it a nice, comfortable, like this is part of where I'm sitting right now is part of Young and Informed Studios. They have their mics and, all the different things that they have access to, and the whole entire basement, which was supposed to be the man cave, became the Young and Informed Studios. I don't know when I'm going to get the man cave back, but
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Listen,
So.
I'm telling you, we're so proud of you, sir. I mean, just all that you're doing, and you have to be fulfilled. I can only imagine what the feeling is like to see your sons be the young men that they are, and I'm telling you, there is no limit. Listen, I don't say that about every child, everybody I meet. But they. I'm telling you, there is a gift in them.
Yes.
There is a calling in them. Yes. That I'm like, listen, I'm not surprised at whatever level they go to. How do you help them to maintain pace? Because for me, it's like everybody wants now, right? They want the gratification now. They want to be there now, right? So how do you teach them about pace, like about pacing yourself? And listen, let's get here. This is going to help us get here. And it may take days, weeks, months, years, right? So how do you have that conversation?
Well, we talk about all the time, just, focusing on doing what they love, keeping it organic, one moment at a time, moment by moment. That's a phrase that we say, moment by moment. And, prioritizing. What's the greater priority? I talked to them about priorities, but you may want to do this, you may want to do that. But if you have schoolwork and you have this going on and that going on, which one is the priority? And so they understand that. Like in the summer, we're kicking out more material and at a faster pace, and and they're running with it. But when it comes down around school time, okay, well maybe you have to do that once a week. We can't do that, once every other day like you were doing before. And now they dove into these kids, man. They dove into a whole new lane of education in hip hop, and they have this whole platform of hip hop that is moving fast, and all these artists that are wowed by them, and they're coming down and sitting on their new podcast called Unlock the Bars with Noah and Matthew. And what it is, it's a podcast that where all these, it's like they have this platform called the Bars. It's called the Bars app. It's like the Instagram version, but for all artists, singers, rappers, and all these. And so they go in there and they seek out the positivity, and they go, come sit down with us. Let the people get to know who you are. And the response went viral like that. And so it happened early in the summer. So from the summer, they were doing so much work with those that they got the attention of Facebook. They got the attention because Facebook runs that app. They got the attention of, these people calling and hitting me up, making them brand ambassadors and all these different things that they're doing. And I had to sit down and say, listen, the school season's coming. We're gonna have to, we're gonna have to dial back. And they're like, and they understand. As long as we have open communication, we have meetings down here. We make it fun. I brought them little golf mats. We sit there, we play a little golf and talk before podcasts, make it fun. Like, it's a whole interactive thing going on down here, so that's how we
Listen,
do it. We just open communication and showing them that you have to prioritize, you have to look at what's most important first, and then pace yourself based on the priorities that you have,
listen, I see this media company going above and beyond. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if you want to start up an academy and you're going to teach other young people, how to do what Noah and Matthew. Of course, they have a gift, but at least a model, right? Those who
Right,
have a gift for it as well can kind of fit,
right.
but that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, because I wanted to ask you, like y'all having like executive meetings,
Yeah, we do.
about
They call it, and they
yeah,
even joke. They were on the one thing, and they said, "Oh," somebody said, "Oh, who's that? That's your father?" But he said, "Oh, he works for us." They joke, they tease. "Oh, that guy works for us." We're
right.
gonna keep him. We're gonna keep him around. He's been doing all right.
Wow, that's amazing. And listen, everybody, I'm talking to again, Mr. TAKBIR Blake. Again, his two sons started 8, 10, 11, a media company. I mean, they got podcasts. They're doing all of these amazing with hip hop and music education. They became a licensed vendor for the New York City Department of Education. I'm telling you, these two young men, again, under the leadership and fathership and mentorship of this amazing young man, Mr. Blake. Listen, we're so proud of you, and it's just wonderful to see your inspiration and all that you're doing with your young sons, your young men. And I'm like, what's next? Like what's next on the vision board for you in terms of your support of your sons that you can tell us? Don't tell them nothing
Yeah.
that's under,
Well,
but what's next?
overall, like and I think they addressed it too. What's next is empowering kids everywhere, showing them that the future is now, and that they have a voice, and that they as children can stand up now and help the adults secure their own future, not sit back and watch them do it, but can be proactive. And that's why they have a lot of what's next in the near future is more on. We have these segments called On the Scenes, where they go into the community and they're going into different events and seeking information to bring back to children. They're just continuing to expand their horizons of putting their image out there with the acting, the things that they got going on, and just overall building like a media giant of like how you have CNN, you have youth network where kids are running a network. It doesn't always have to be their face, but kids running a network where they're showing that they're intelligent, they're empowered, they're informed, and that the next generation is being molded to take the mantle, and that they are capable. And a lot of times it's the adults are saying, "Oh, they're too young for this and they're too young for that," but these kids are built and wired different these days. Like these kids are really, ready to be proactive and get involved. They're empowered by it. When we did the Stop the Hate rally with the Dow twins, and we were in the Bronx, and we were marching through the streets. I saw my kids holding up the sign and deep entrenched in it, and just empowered by we're making a difference, and that it's like it's as powerful as training somebody in martial arts. The deep confidence that they get, how from just doing things like that, they have this calmness, this real innocence, but this power, this deep power inside of them of knowing their worth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's spreading that to other families, to other children, and showing them that you can, yes, you can, and being a voice for the children, for those children everywhere.
Wow. Listen, I just want to say, listen, I'm as you were talking, I had another contact that I need to give you. Listen,
Take that.
listen, it's this company that's what they do. They teach kids in the media industry to learn how to interview and work behind the camera and work there. So yeah,
That's powerful.
I got another contact for you.
Thank you.
But amazing that and they're becoming influencers,
Yes.
right? Not only to just talk about with people, guests on their show, but to take what they're learning and to give it to other youth and to the world so they can learn. I was watching one of the show with your sons, and they're teaching how to write notes or musical notes or to do something on a computer with or design. And I'm like, listen, I need that class.
Yeah, the Java, it's probably one of the JavaScript. They have a technology time segment. They have a lot of STEAM building segments and educational segments on their platform as well. And so they take that and they share it with other kids on how to do this and how to do that, you know. And like I said, it's just showing the power of the mind. I mean, I sat here and watched Noah and Matthew do things that I just scratch my head and go, wow. Like, you know, during the pandemic, Noah before the pandemic, he didn't know any piano at all. And now he's teaching on Bronx Net TV how to play the piano to other kids. And during the pandemic, he didn't just stay bored. He said, well, I'm bored. Well, I'm going to do something with my time. I'm going to self-teach myself piano. And his mind absorbed it all the way to the point now he's playing Mozart, both hands, just playing, and knows all the notes and knows how to read it. Or never had a piano lesson a day in his life, and he performed it last year at the school talent show. And you know, it's like it just shows you the power of when you have that focus, that discipline, and the mindset and confidence that I can do anything. Anything I put my mind to, I can do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. You can do what you want to do. You know, just go for it, educate yourself about it, empower yourself, and go after it. Consistency. We talk about that a lot, about the power of consistency. And, you know, they're learning it through their company. Because I'll say, hey, nobody's looking now, but you stay consistent, they're going to start raising an eyebrow like, I said, don't think they're not watching. They just want to see how consistent you're going to be. They want to see if you're going to keep doing this, you know, and when that consistency hits and people start realizing, okay, well, these guys have been doing this for a year and a half now. They haven't slowed down yet. They're only gaining momentum. Now people start to gather around and support. And like you said, when we were talking behind the scenes, those, you know, you have those people put in your pathway that are a blessing and help the movement and help the mission. It's just, you know, I've been amazed at the organic energy that's come around and how one door, you know, starts opening, the next door opening, and it just started moving. And I said, wow, you know, once we finish this project, now we got this, and we finished this, now this is happening. And so the most recent one, we finished our Conversations with podcast with interviewing, talking about eradicating fatherlessness, and they were passionate about that. And then this Netflix movie comes out, The Harder They Fall, right? And it so happens the hip hop thing they were doing, one of the guys who was not known at the time sat down on their podcast, and now he's a star in the Netflix #1 movie across the nation right now. And so he came back and sat down with us yesterday. And so his episode is going to be coming out talking about the actual production and his first interview as an actor.
Oh.
And so this stuff is, you know, and I'm just sitting back saying consistency, just keep going. You know, there's a purpose here. We see it, just keep moving, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Go ahead, Matthew, Noah. Go ahead.
And I like to say, Noah told me to say this too. He said, you know, he earlier this year, he got me, he said, make sure everybody knows that he hooked me up with Mets tickets through his connections. No, it did.
Wow. That's amazing. You know. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of you, sir. You know, because, you know, they see Noah and Matthew, but the one that's behind, right? The one that's behind the camera, behind the scenes, that's giving them, you know, that's rooting for them and cheering for them and being a support system for them. It's unmeasurable. And so we want to applaud you.
Thank you
for all that you've done and what you're doing, because you're not only just impacting your sons, but you're impacting the world. Everybody that they touch is being impacted because of what you have done to instill in them. And we thank you for that. We appreciate you. I gotta ask you just one or two more questions. Did you know anything about media? Did you come from a media background at all?
I tell people all the time. That's a good question. I tell people all the time. I found the love of marketing and branding and editing through this Young and Informed Media LLC. And so a lot of that content you see up there, I just sit back when people go, oh, this is, they see the videos and they see it, and people have asked, who do you use? And I'm like, hey, me, I'm doing that behind the scenes. And they're like, well, you know how to do all that? I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm self-taught myself. I just, as they're learning, I'm learning. I'm and that's another thing, to go back to the question, what do you want your kids to see? You want them to see that you're also following the same lessons that you're teaching them. And so there was uncharted territory. And I said, I got to dive in with confidence, like they're diving in with confidence. These kids are going in front of the camera, speaking to all different types of people, and with, and they're just doing it fearlessly. So I got to be fearless with the technology and learn what I didn't know, and learn from them, because these kids have more capacity to pick it up. So I'll go to know, like, show me this. And then, okay, I'll figure it out.
Right.
So,
Wow,
definitely.
listen, it's amazing to hear the journey thus far, and it's so inspiring, and I so appreciate you and all that you're doing. And listen, I want to ask you, they've gotten awards.
Yes.
I mean, they have gotten recognized for so many things. How do you keep them grounded? How do you, because again, so many get excited, to get, and they want to do all, but how do you keep them grounded at such a young age?
God first, all the time. Wow. Every Sunday church, they are responsible for sending out the church notes to the entire family every Sunday. Wow. So they have to transcribe it and speak it into their own words, what they learned, and they send it out to everybody in the family. And so they've been doing that before Young and Informed. So I said, that doesn't change. You stay grounded in doing that throughout, because that's where you're going to be able to be, like you said, stay focused and stay on your path and be able to handle the situations that are thrown at you. And confidence, like I said, confidence is number one. When you have somebody who's confident and they're not trying to prove anything, they're not trying to show off anything, they're just comfortable in their skin. And I just sit there and I'm a sounding board and letting them know, hey, I reward them for that and say, hey, you handled that with humility. You didn't brag over that situation. I like the way you incorporate, you bring your friends into it without trying to show off. My sons will hang out with their friends, and I mean, you ever tell them about that? You're hanging out with the mayor the other day? Right. No, I didn't tell them. I'm like, okay. They just no, okay, all right, and so it teaches me humility, and it teaches me, you can learn from your children as well, and a lot of the things a lot of the areas I wanted to be stronger in as a child, they are stronger. So that, they're a better version of me, and that's why I know when you first initially invited me to, I said it's my first interview, because I don't seek the camera, and I don't really, I'm like we talked about behind us. You said something so powerful. I'm fulfilled because when I watch them, like I feel like I came from a situation when I was a young man. I thought I never would have found my purpose in life, and I always wondered. I saw people with purpose and like, oh, it missed me, it skipped over me, not me, but everybody else, but not me, And then all of a sudden, it just, when it hit me, I'm just so grateful and thankful and blessed to have a purpose. I'm good. Just seeing them sitting back and watching them shine, I'm good. There's people say, oh, they're going up there to get the walk. Go walk up there. No, I let them walk. They walk up there by themselves. They'll handle it by themselves. They'll do the speech by themselves. That's their life, And so, it's just fulfillment.
Well, all I can say is job well done, and to come, job well done again. Because we are just so proud of you, sir. Listen, I want to give you the floor. If there's anything I didn't ask you that you want to share with our audience, and then I just have two more things to talk to you really quick about before I let you go. But is there any more you want to share about your journey thus far? Because again, it's such an inspiration that you are. It's so inspiring to talk to you, right, and an honor. But is there more you want to share with us about your journey?
I just the importance of not being afraid to put your kids out there, to change the narrative, to change the images, that have been put in front of us for so many long that show our kids are not intelligent and not up to par, but in fact, if given that right encouragement and coming from whatever background, they are more than capable, can shine, and they're ready to excel and to let people see that and let it move people and let other children see that. Other children, it's a powerful thing when I've seen certain friends who were quiet before, who are more now are more outspoken because they're hanging around Noah Matthew, they're doing things and they're joining in. So
Yes.
that kid empowerment is very important, and kids empowering kids and keeping that circle of friends of like minds very strong. I'm just very passionate about that. And I say to all parents out there, just support your kids, be a voice for them, and then protect them, but at the same time let them do their thing, let them shine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody, I gotta listen, Mr. TAKBIR Blake. Listen, I want to thank you again, and I got two more things. But who is there anyone that you would like to acknowledge at this point that has been influential in your journey thus far? I know you talked about your dad and your parents, but is there anyone else that you want to give an acknowledgement to that has helped you to become the man that you are?
Oh, yeah. I would, well, of course, like I said, I'm always gonna go to my father. I would like to acknowledge, just my family in general, my brothers, my sisters, my father, but and then, God, and also just the situations that the trials. I like to acknowledge the trials and tribulations that I've been through when I was a young man growing up in this system, because I've come from situations where I was been targeted by police, and as a young man, and those hard situations growing up in those times, and having a strong family supporting me, and the ability to be able to take that and not make it something that makes me feel less than, but then realize that that I am more than I will. That has helped develop me, to become who I am. So definitely acknowledging all that stuff. So it was very powerful.
Wonderful, sir. Well, listen, we want to thank everybody, even your challenges and your struggles that have helped to make you who you are, because you are an amazing gentleman, and I'm excited to even have you on our broadcast and to know you and to connect with you. It's a blessing. So thank you so much for giving up your valuable time to share with us. Do you do consulting work? Like, so if parents want to reach out to you and kind of learn how you do what you do, or how you came to do that?
Yes, I do. Like, it's all through the Young and Informed page on Instagram. If there's parents who have reached out, and I help, talk them through certain situations. Like I said, now I'm homeschooling Noah and Matthew. So I've had people call me even from different states, and what are you doing? Because I'm watching what you're doing on Young and Informed, because we started doing this thing called Enrichment Fridays, where I came up with the idea to say, hey, Monday through Thursday, you're doing a lot of the lesson work, but Fridays where you're going to build, just like your company, you're going to build a bridge between the classroom work and the actual real life. So what you're going to do is you're going to put to practice and do a lot of these experiments on the different units that you're working on throughout the week. And we'll call them Enrichment Fridays. And so this just, I do a lot of, I consult and help parents out with it, whatever way I can,
Well, all I'm going to say is I can see more parents who go to church with their children to be like, listen, I want y'all to give me a summary of what you learned. I love that idea. I love that because it teaches them to be focused and to be attentive, right, to what's being said and observed. And so that's powerful. Listen, the last thing you said, sir, is I see like a #1 book coming out. I hope you really consider that, because the way you're doing it, it's so impactful, on just how these Fridays are now enrichment, right? Making the connection to that's, listen, more people need to know how to do it and have examples of how to do that. So listen, I don't know what's all in your necks, but I know something great is coming in your neck, because you are destined. You are destined, whether Papa Taco, whatever you want. Listen, you were definitely, there was prophecy called on you, but there's a destiny about your life, sir, and all that is that you touch in your children and everyone that they touch now. So I want to give you the last say before we get ready to close. Any more you want to share with us? Oh, give us all of your social media handles.
Oh, it's young, yeah, young and informed, not and, but Young Informed Media LLC, and that's on Instagram. And then also we're on YouTube. The same thing, you just type in Young Informed Media, and it'll come up on YouTube. We have younginformedmedia.com, and yeah, that's all the yeah, those are all, and then Young Informed Media on Facebook, where they have their business page up there as well. And that's where you can find. So it's all Young Informed Media. You'll be able to find us. Definitely.
Well, listen, everybody, I'm telling you, if you want to be inspired, you want to learn more how to give instruction and guidance and a model for your children for their own business. I said it, yes, they're CEOs of their own media company. I'm telling you, Noah and Matthew, it's amazing. And this man, Mr. TAKBIR Blake, I want to give a shout out to you, sir, again. Applaud you. Thank you so much for being a wonderful example to all of us. My goodness, to let them know that, listen, it's possible, right? You can go for your, and it's not about age, right? I mean, your sons have just defied everything by, again, being 10, 11, having their own business, having a media company, getting awards, being recognized by the city, by so many people around. Netflix, they got contacts with. It's wonderful to see them as an example. And I just want to say thank you for being the root of the greatness that's being sprung up in your two sons, Noah and Matthew. Thank you, sir. We so appreciate you.
I'm a support, but the root, the mother who brought him into this world.
Come on now. Yes.
You know, that's the root. You got.
That's right. That's right. Well, again, thank you so much to both of you for being just roots in the life of your children and the opportunity that you took advantage, make that choice to invest, and even, again, just investment into your sons. So thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. Any more you want to share with us before we let you go?
No, just thank you for the inspiration that the whole platform and providing that inspiration for people like us to continue going, because all of this is motivation, and it definitely makes an impact and gives us that fresh energy to keep powering forward. So
yes, sir.
I want to applaud you. Give right back to you.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, listen, I am a fan of Young Informed Media LLC, Noah and Matthew. I'm a fan of Mr. TAKBIR Blake. I'm a fan of everything that you all stand for and represent. And as I said to your two sons, to those two young men, I'll say to you, whatever I can do to be a support to you and your vision and your purpose and all that you do for your sons, and even for just the company, but just for you, just let me know. I'm here to be a support. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Everybody listen, this is Inspiration with Troy Alexander, live one more time. Every week we come on here to encourage you to hold on to your dream. And you know what our motto is? Dream, take that step, and walk with purpose into your destiny. Listen, I'll be back again next Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great night and go get your dream. Thank you so much, Mr. Blake. Have a great
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.